The movie that we're watching today is very symbolic. The characters all represent different social classes. Like each character represents a different view on religion and government. So in order to understand what these characters are standing for, we gotta look at the country a little bit. The Spanish were embroiled in a civil war before World War II. And their country was basically devastated through all this infighting. The Spanish government under Franco. To get to power, he executed, 36,000 people. A lot of Spanish movies during this time are not available for us to see because, they were bowlerized. They were completely blacked out. The Italians, because they defeated Mussolini, they had this whole neo-realist period. Everybody was making films about the fascists. Spain was neutral during World War II, so ironically, they had a fascist leader past 1946. And he didn't even die until 75. And so it's like, it was fascism under a different flag. Heavy censorship. And he was able to oppress the media in such a way that people were just writing good things about him the whole time he was in power. As long as you made a movie that was complimentary of him and his regime, you were fine. He was totally in support of that kind of art. Juan Bardem, the director for today's film, is what I would consider an iconoclast director. So an iconoclast will take establishment and break it, challenges the status quo. He actually won for a film called Calle Mayor while he was in jail. And this is how crafty Franco was. So Franco knew that if people found out that he had jailed somebody who was winning top filmmaking awards, he would look like a bad guy. So he released Juan Bardem to go receive the award, and then after he got the reward, he put him back in jail. While in prison, he published all this literature encouraging Spanish filmmakers to create a national identity. What Bardem was doing was like, we need a cultural identity with our films, Just like the French have an identity, just like the Americans have an identity, just like the Italians have an identity, we should make one too. And so he sort of ushered in this late occurring neo-realist filmmaking trend, but it really didn't get big like it did in Italy. Today's film feels very neo-realist. It's very, very contrasty, very, very radical, and speaks to his leftist politics. He was concerned about welfare for the people. You didn't have to be in power to have a voice in society. I gotta tell you the story of this film. Death of a Cyclist is about a wealthy couple, a man and a woman who are having an affair, Juan and Maria Jose. Juan is a former fascist soldier. He fought for Franco, and he deeply regrets his role in the Spanish Civil War. Okay, and he's a professor, and he's very well respected, but he feels all this guilt that he's respected in society, and he did all these bad things to get into his position. He's having an affair with Maria Jose, who represents the bourgeoisie. She's like this untouchable, who basically stayed out of the war. I'll support whoever's in power just as long as you don't raise my taxes or take my things away from me. So the two of them are returning back home after a night together, and they run over a guy on his bicycle. And the guy who is run over is working class. They look at this poor guy's body and they wonder, should we help him or should we leave him here? They decide to leave him there. Then they meet this guy, Rafa. Rafa is my favorite character in the film. He's the socialist. He's like the everyman. He plays the piano. He's not wealthy, but he works for a lot of rich people, and he resents them. His face looks really worn. He almost has a mask on. He's almost like the Joker of this movie. And he's kind of pretending to be in the good graces of all these rich people that he secretly just wants to take down. As it turns out, Rafa sees the accident take place, but you don't find out until a little bit later. And he tells Maria Jose, I know that you were in the car that ran over that guy. Okay? And so then it becomes the story of blackmail, Juan and Maria Jose. If they come clean, they're going to lose everything, and the affair will be discovered. If they do nothing, then Rafa is going to take me down anyway. And so it's this psychological game between these three people, right? And what's crazy, too, is that you actually meet Maria Jose's actual husband. And the husband is a fascist as well, and he looks exactly the same as Juan. So you have all this weird editing in the film where she's with Juan, and then it cuts to her with Miguel, and it looks like the same dude, but it's two different guys, right? And the idea there is that she's so caught up in who she is that like she thinks she's making a different choice, but really she's making the same choice. Like she's a slave to her own wealth. This movie feels like a horror film in parts. The opening credits music is very dissonant, and it's set outdoors, and you know what's gonna happen, and you can't look away. It's deeply, deeply political. The movie was banned. The movie spends a lot of time with the characters in existential crisis. What I love about this film is that it's very introspective, and so the characters are constantly thinking out loud to the camera. Juan is a guy who's fascist, and he transitions to being a communist by the end of the film. He wants to come clean, he wants to admit to wrongdoing, and Maria Jose is like, no, I'll be ruined if you come clean. You gotta stay with this lie until you're dead. And so all of this kind of like existential crisis is like the backbone of this noir. You know, like, what should I do? Should I do the right thing, or do I do the wrong thing but protect everybody I love? And Bardem was a smart guy. He made this movie knowing that the predominant audience would not be Spanish. And so he totally simplifies the narrative. He makes it so simple, like it's almost like you're watching a chess game being played. Okay, and it's pretty easy to follow if you just think of these characters as like caricatures of people. All right, so the social class of the character matters more than who they are. Okay, but you just have to know that it's a battle between rich and poor. Oh yeah, this is a beautiful shot. This is a student of Juan's, and this scene is so pivotal because she's working class, she's poor, he has all the power, and he won't give her what she wants. The filmmaker uses deep space to show characters at their most vulnerable. When they are at an emotional crossroads, when they're at a moral crossroads, you see them framed in deep space, like this. So see how the size difference between these two human beings? The character who's closer to the frame and bigger is the one that you're meant to focus on, right? He's almost literally the bigger man here. Everything we know about music videos, mockumentaries, documentaries, social media videos came from this Spanish-style protest cinema. The Italians did it too. Handheld, going against Hollywood's official rules is the name of the game. If you want to show suffering, the image has to make the viewer suffer as well, otherwise it's not going to be a meaningful experience for everyone. All of this stuff creates this like resurgence in the interest of the youth of society. So we have Bardem and Buñuel and Antonioni, all those guys to thank for like our attitude with cinema today. I'm about ready to go on break. Anybody have a question on what we've seen so far?
Hi everyone. If you like what you saw, please follow me using the social media links you see on the screen. If you want to show more support, I'll leave a link to my Patreon page, plus a link to purchase my new classroom textbook. Thanks so much for viewing, and don't forget to subscribe.